Wealthy bachelor sees a poor mother splitting a single sandwich with her daughter and does the unexpected. Harrison Sterling was accustomed to the luxury of his favorite upscale bistro in Manhattan when his attention was captured by a scene that left him completely paralyzed. A young mother was carefully splitting a sandwich in half, handing the larger portion to her little daughter, while keeping only the crumbs for herself. When he saw that woman in a faded denim jacket, dividing the only meal with such tenderness, Harrison felt something stir in his chest that had long been dormant. He watched, fascinated, as she smiled at the blonde girl, pretending not to be hungry so the child could eat more. "Could you bring another sandwich just like that for them, please?" Harrison asked the waiter, discreetly pointing to the corner table. "Do you know the ladies?" asked the employee. "No, but I want to help. Say it was from an anonymous customer." Harrison watched nervously as the waiter approached their table. He saw the mother's expression of surprise, then her polite but firm refusal. The girl tugged on her mother's sleeve, seeming not to understand why they were turning down extra food. "I'm sorry, sir, but she said she doesn't need it," the waiter informed him upon returning. Harrison was intrigued. In his world of business, everything had a price. How could someone refuse free food when they clearly needed it? He continued watching as he finished his expensive dish, seeing how they savored every crumb of that simple sandwich. When they got up to leave, Harrison had an impulse. He stood up quickly, almost knocking over his chair, and walked toward them. "Excuse me," he said, lightly touching the mother's arm near the door. She turned around, startled. Up close, Harrison could see she was younger than she appeared, maybe around 30, with tired but determined brown eyes. "Sorry to bother you, but I'd like to pay for your lunch," said Harrison, trying to sound casual. "That's not necessary, sir. We already paid our bill," she replied, pulling her daughter closer. "I know, but I thought I could order a few sandwiches for you to take home." "No, thank you," she cut in more curtly this time. "Come on, Lily." The girl waved timidly at Harrison before being led away by her mother. He stood there, holding the bistro door, watching them walk away down the busy sidewalk. That night, Harrison couldn't get the scene out of his head. In his luxurious penthouse overlooking the city, he thought about the simplicity of that moment. When was the last time he had shared something with someone? When was the last time he had genuinely cared about another person? The next day, he returned to the same bistro at the same time. They didn't show up. He returned the next day and the next. The waiter, named Derek, began to notice his anticipation. "Are you looking for someone?" Derek asked on Harrison's fourth visit. "Those two from the other day, the mother and the little girl. Oh, Ms. Brianna and Lily. They come here every Friday, always at the same time. They always order the same thing, one sandwich to share." Harrison felt a tightening in his chest. Once a week. They allowed themselves a meal out only once a week, and even then they shared a single sandwich. "Do you know where they live? What they do?" Derek hesitated. "Do you have a romantic interest in Ms. Brianna?" "It's not that," Harrison hurried to explain, though he wasn't sure what it was. "I just want to help. She works as a cleaner in a few places. The girl goes to the public elementary school in the Bronx. But look, if you want my advice, she's very proud. She won't accept easy charity." Harrison thanked him for the information and left, thoughtful. All week he couldn't concentrate on business. His partners commented on his distraction in meetings. He cancelled important dinners, preferring to stay home thinking about that courageous mother and her smiling daughter. The following Friday, he was there again. When he saw them enter, his heart raced. Brianna wore the same denim jacket but had tried to disguise a small tear at the elbow. Lily ran ahead, excited, as if that weekly outing was a grand adventure. They sat at the same table. Harrison observed the whole ritual, Brianna studying the menu she already knew by heart, Lily swinging her legs in the high chair, the two talking quietly and laughing at some private joke. When the waiter brought the sandwich, Harrison saw Brianna do exactly the same thing as the week before. She broke the sandwich in half, gave the larger part to Lily, and nibbled her portion slowly, making it last. This time, Harrison was smarter. He waited until they finished and headed to the counter to pay. He discreetly intercepted the waiter and paid their bill, asking him not to mention his name. He saw Brianna's confusion at the counter, the employee's explanation about a customer having paid, her initial refusal, and then her hurried exit, visibly embarrassed. Harrison thought he had done a good deed, but he didn't feel good. There was something in Brianna's expression that bothered him. It wasn't gratitude. It was humiliation. On Monday, he decided to pass by the public elementary school where Lily attended. It was a simple but well-kept building, with children playing in the yard during recess. He parked across the street and kept watching, looking for the blonde girl. When he saw her, playing jump rope with other children, he smiled involuntarily. Lily laughed loudly, her hair flying in the wind, completely absorbed in the game. How could a child be so happy with so little? "Can I help you?" Harrison turned and saw an older woman, about 50, with the look of someone used to dealing with suspicious situations. "Oh, I was just watching the children play. It's nice to see." "Do you have children here at the school?" "No, I don't have children," admitted Harrison, realizing how strange his presence must seem. "Then may I ask what you're doing here?" Harrison found himself in a difficult situation. How to explain that he was interested in a child he barely knew, the daughter of a woman who didn't even know his name? "I met one of the mothers, Brianna, and her daughter Lily. I thought about volunteering for activities at the school." The woman, who introduced herself as Principal Margaret, looked at him with suspicion. "What kind of activities?" "I don't know, maybe reading to the children or helping with math. Do you have experience in education?" "Not exactly, but I'm willing to learn and help." Principal Margaret took down his information and said she would contact him if they needed volunteers. Harrison left the school with the feeling that he had complicated things even more. The following Friday, he returned to the upscale bistro. This time, Brianna saw him immediately when she entered. Her eyes narrowed and she whispered something in Lily's ear. The girl looked in his direction and waved, but Brianna held her hand, stopping the gesture. Harrison pretended not to notice and ordered his usual lunch, but it was impossible not to pay attention to their table. Brianna seemed tense, looking in his direction several times. Lily seemed confused by her mother's behavior. When they got up to leave, Harrison once again tried to intercept them. This time, Brianna didn't flee. She stopped, turned to him with a hard expression on her face. "You need to stop this," she said, low but firm. "Stop what?" "Don't play dumb. I know it was you who paid our bill last week." Harrison felt his face grow warm. "I just wanted to help." "Well, we don't want your help. We don't need anyone's charity." "It wasn't charity, it was just—" "Then what was it?" She interrupted him, her eyes blazing with anger. "Do you think that by wearing expensive clothes you can buy our dignity?" Some people at nearby tables began to look. Lily tugged on her mother's sleeve, frightened by the tone of the conversation. "Mommy, why are you angry?" "I'm not angry, sweetheart. We're leaving." Harrison saw them leave again, but this time he felt terrible. He had ruined their special moment, turned their weekly outing into an embarrassment. But he couldn't give up. There was something about that family that drew him like a magnet. Perhaps it was the pure love between mother and daughter. Perhaps it was Brianna's dignity in the face of hardship. Or perhaps it was his own glaring loneliness crying out for connection. He decided to change his strategy. Instead of trying to help with money, he would try to get closer in a more subtle way. He found out where Brianna worked by discreetly asking at Lily's school during an official visit as a potential volunteer. She worked mornings at a law firm, afternoons at a family's home, and 3 nights a week at a cleaning company. Harrison was impressed by her dedication. How did she manage to maintain so much energy working so much? One Tuesday afternoon, he casually passed by the law firm during her quitting time. He saw her leaving through the back parking lot, carrying heavy cleaning supplies. "Brianna," he called, running to catch up with her. She turned, visibly annoyed to see him. "Now you're following me?" "No, I was passing by nearby and saw you with these heavy things. Can I help?" "No." "Please, it's just some buckets." I said no. Harrison stopped, seeing the determination in her eyes. "Can you explain to me why it's so hard to accept help?" Brianna set the buckets down and turned to face him fully. "Because you don't understand anything about my life. You think you can appear out of nowhere with your fancy clothes and fix everything with money. But I work for every cent I earn. I support my daughter with dignity. I don't need a stranger to feel better about himself at my expense. Her words hit him like a punch to the gut. Was that what he was doing? Trying to make himself feel better? You're right, Harrison admitted. I'm sorry. I really don't understand your life. But I would like to understand. Brianna studied him for a moment, as if trying to decipher his intentions. Why? What's your interest in me and my daughter? Harrison hesitated. How to explain something he himself didn't fully understand. I lost my wife 5 years ago, he said finally. She was pregnant. Since then, I've shut myself off from the world. I live in a huge house. I have more money than I can spend, but I'm completely alone. When I saw you and Lily at that upscale bistro, I saw something I never had. Real love, family, purpose. It awakened in me a longing for something I might never get to have. Brianna's expression softened slightly, but she still kept her guard up. I'm sorry for your loss, she said, but that doesn't make us responsible for healing your loneliness. I know. You're right again. I'm sorry for bothering you. Harrison turned to leave, but Brianna's voice stopped him. My ex-husband left me when he found out I was pregnant, she said. Said he wasn't ready to be a father, that I should figure it out on my own. Since then, I've learned I can't trust men who show up in my life promising things, especially rich men who think they can buy whatever they want. Harrison turned back to her. I would never try to buy you or your daughter. Then what exactly do you want? Harrison thought for a moment. What did he really want? Friendship, perhaps. Someone to talk to. Someone who reminds me there is goodness in the world. And what would I get out of this friendship? The question caught him off guard. He had only thought of himself, about what he could gain from getting closer. I don't know, he admitted. Maybe nothing, maybe I have nothing to offer but trouble. For the first time, Brianna almost smiled. At least you're being honest. She picked up the buckets again. I'm leaving now, and please stop showing up at the places where I work. It's getting the attention of my employers, and I can't afford to lose my job. Harrison agreed and watched her walk away. But this time, he didn't feel completely defeated. There was a small crack in her armor, a small possibility that they could at least talk as human beings. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing, the following Friday, Harrison returned to the upscale bistro, but sat at a more distant table. He didn't try to pay their bill, didn't try to approach. He just watched from a distance as Brianna and Lily had their weekly ritual. This time he noticed other details. He saw how Brianna discreetly checked the prices on the menu before ordering, how she counted the coins in her wallet, how her shoulders relaxed when she managed to pay without trouble. Lily, in turn, seemed like a completely happy and well-adjusted child. She chatted animatedly with her mother, told stories from school, laughed loudly at her own jokes. It was evident that Brianna was doing an excellent job as a mother, despite the financial difficulties. When they got up to leave, Lily waved discreetly to Harrison. He waved back, and that was enough for him that day. In the following days, Harrison began to rethink his approach entirely. Instead of trying to solve Brianna's problems with money, he decided to try to understand her situation better. He started frequenting the neighborhood where she lived, not to follow her, but to understand the environment where Lily was growing up. It was a simple but organized neighborhood, with small row houses, local shops, a square with a playground where children played after school. Harrison, accustomed to the city's upscale neighborhoods, was surprised by the sense of community he perceived there. One afternoon, he was having coffee at a local bakery when he overheard a conversation between two older women about one of the local residents. Brianna is truly a warrior, one of them said, working day and night to raise that girl alone. And she still studies at night, right? I saw her leaving with her books after 10 o'clock, commented the other. She wants to be a nurse, says it's been her dream since she was little, but she never had the opportunity before. Harrison was impressed. Besides working 3 jobs, Brianna was also studying at night. When did she sleep? When did she have time for herself? He decided he needed to know more. At Lily's school, during his first official activity as a reading volunteer, he tried to discreetly gather more information. Lily's teacher, a young woman named Ms. Thompson, spoke affectionately about the girl. "Lily is one of my favorite students," she said, "always cheerful, always polite, very smart. Her mother is very present, even working so much. Does she work a lot?" "Too much, in my opinion. Sometimes Lily mentions that Mommy comes home very late, that she stays with the neighbor until her mother picks her up. But I've never seen a child more loved. Brianna may not have much money, but she gives all the love in the world to that girl." Harrison felt a twinge of envy. What would it be like to be loved like that? What would it be like to have someone willing to work themselves to exhaustion for you? At the end of that week, he made a decision. Instead of trying to force his way into Brianna's life, he decided to become a consistent and respectful presence. If she didn't want his financial help, perhaps she would accept just his friendship. On Friday, he went to the upscale bistro again. This time, when Brianna and Lily entered, he stood up and walked to their table. "Excuse me," he said, holding his hat in his hands. "I'm not here to offer money or payment. I just came to ask if I could sit with you for a few minutes. I would very much like to meet Lily officially." Brianna looked at him in surprise. Lily tugged on her mother's sleeve. "Mommy, it's the nice man. Can I talk to him?" Harrison waited, leaving the decision entirely with Brianna. She hesitated for a long moment, studying his face as if searching for signs of falseness. "5 minutes," she said finally. "But if Lily feels uncomfortable, you leave immediately." Agreed. Harrison sat in the empty chair at the table for 4. Up close, Lily was even more enchanting, with large, expressive eyes, an open smile, and a natural curiosity. "What's your name?" she asked immediately. "Harrison, and you're Lily, right? Your teacher, Ms. Thompson, told me you're very smart. You know Aunt Mariana?" "Yes, I do. I volunteer at your school sometimes. I read stories to the children." Lily perked up. "Can you read a story to me?" Harrison looked at Brianna, asking for permission. She shrugged. "I don't have any books here, but I can tell a story I know by heart." And so, right there in the upscale bistro, Harrison began to tell a story about a brave princess who saved her kingdom not with magic, but with intelligence and kindness. Lily listened, fascinated, asking questions and making comments. Brianna, initially tense, gradually relaxed, seeing the natural interaction between Harrison and her daughter. He wasn't trying to impress the girl with promises or gifts, just talking to her as if she were an important person, worthy of attention and respect. When the 5 minutes were up, Lily protested, "Already? But the story isn't finished." "I can finish it the next time we meet, if your mother allows it." Lily turned to Brianna with pleading eyes. "Can I, Mommy?" "We'll see," said Brianna, not committing to anything, but not denying it either. Harrison thanked her for the opportunity and returned to his table. He felt he had taken a small positive step, but knew he would need to be very patient to earn Brianna's complete trust. In the following days, he maintained his volunteer routine at the school, always being respectful and professional. Lily always greeted him happily when she saw him, and it made him smile in a way he hadn't smiled in years. One afternoon, after a particularly fun reading session, the principal, Margaret, sought him out. "Harrison, may I speak with you?" They went to her office and Margaret closed the door. "Some mothers have come to speak with me about you," she said bluntly. Harrison's heart raced. "What kind of things?" "They want to know what your real intentions are here. A single, well-dressed man appearing out of nowhere offering to volunteer. Some are getting suspicious." "Suspicious of what?" "You know perfectly well of what." "We live in a time when we have to be very careful about adults who take too much interest in children." Harrison felt as if he'd been punched. "I would never... My intentions are completely..." "I believe you," said Margaret. "But I need to protect the children at the school. I'm going to have to ask you to step back for a while until things calm down." Harrison left the school feeling humiliated and confused. How had his attempts to do good turned into such terrible suspicions? How had it come to this? That night, in his empty house, Harrison reflected on everything that had happened since he first saw Brianna and Lily. His intentions had been pure, but his methods were clearly wrong. He was trying to force a connection instead of letting it develop naturally. The following Friday, he went to the upscale bistro, not knowing if Brianna and Lily would show up, or if they had heard the rumors at school. When they entered, Brianna saw him immediately and her expression hardened. Instead of sitting down, she walked straight to his table. "I need to speak with you," she said, her voice controlled but furious. Harrison swallowed dryly. "Of course." Outside. They left the bistro, leaving Lily with the waiter, Derek, who knew her well. "What did you do?" Brianna asked as soon as they were alone. "What are you talking about?" "The mothers at school are all talking about you, saying horrible things, questioning your intentions with the children. My daughter came home asking why her friends were saying bad things about Uncle Harrison." Harrison felt the world collapse. "Brianna, I swear on everything that is holy, I never—" "You don't understand?" she interrupted him, tears of anger in her eyes. "I already have to fight every day to keep my dignity, to prove I'm a good mother, even though I'm young and single. Now I have to deal with gossip about my daughter being involved with a strange man. I didn't know this would happen." "Of course you didn't. Because you live in a bubble of privilege where your actions have no real consequences. But I live in the real world, where reputation matters, where I need to protect my daughter from people who could hurt her. Do you think I would hurt Lily?" Brianna stopped, studying his face. For a moment her anger gave way to doubt. "I don't know what to think anymore," she admitted. "I know Lily likes you, and she has good instincts about people, but I also know men can be very convincing when they want something. What can I do to prove my intentions are honest?" "Leave me alone," Brianna said simply. "Leave us alone. Stop trying to insert yourself into our lives." Harrison nodded sadly. "If that's what you want, I'll respect it." "That's what I want." Brianna went back to get Lily, and Harrison watched her explain to the girl that they needed to leave. Lily looked in his direction through the window, waving timidly. He waved back, knowing it would probably be the last time. During the following weeks, Harrison tried to return to his normal life. He focused on work, attended important meetings, even accepted some social invitations he had refused for months. But nothing filled the void that had formed in his chest. His partners noticed his change in mood, but interpreted it as something positive. "Good to see you more engaged in the business again," his oldest partner Arthur commented. "I was worried about you these past few weeks." Harrison just smiled and agreed, not explaining that he was desperately trying to forget a 6-year-old girl and her brave mother. But fate had other plans. On a rainy Tuesday, Harrison was leaving a meeting in Manhattan when he heard an ambulance siren. Not knowing why, he followed the sound until he saw the vehicle parked in front of a school he recognized immediately. It was where Lily studied. His heart raced. He quickly parked and ran to the school gate, where a group of parents and teachers had gathered, visibly worried. "What happened?" he asked one of the mothers. "One of the children got sick during recess, fainted and wouldn't wake up." Harrison felt his legs go weak. "Which child?" "Lily, from Ms. Thompson's class." Harrison's world stopped. Without thinking of the consequences, he pushed through the crowd and ran into the school. He found Brianna in the hallway, being supported by 2 teachers, completely desperate. "Brianna!" She turned at the sound of his voice, and for a moment she seemed relieved to see him. Then she remembered everything that had happened. "What are you doing here?" "I heard the ambulance. I came to see what was going on." "How is Lily?" She fainted out of nowhere during recess," said Brianna, sobbing. "The paramedics said they need to take her to the hospital for tests. I don't understand. She was fine this morning." Harrison saw pure desperation in Brianna's eyes and completely forgot all the recent hurts. "Do you have a way to get to the hospital?" "I'm going in the ambulance with her." "And after, how will you get back? Do you need someone to call your jobs? Let them know you won't be able to work today?" Brianna seemed to notice for the first time all the practical complications of the situation. Her eyes filled with tears. I didn't think about that." "Let me help," said Harrison. "No ulterior motives, not wanting anything in return, just as someone who cares about both of you." Brianna looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. "I'll follow the ambulance by car," said Harrison, "and I'll stay at the hospital until we know how she is." At the hospital, Harrison called all of Brianna's jobs, explaining the emergency situation. He also cancelled all his own meetings for the day. Brianna was surprised by his efficiency and consideration. During the hours of waiting for the test results, they talked more honestly than ever. "I'm so scared," confessed Brianna. "Lily is everything I have in the world. If something happens to her—" "Nothing will happen," said Harrison, although he was also terrified. "She's a strong, healthy girl." "You don't understand. I don't have good health insurance. If she needs expensive treatment, I don't know what I'll do." Harrison wanted to say he could pay for any treatment, but he knew it would be the wrong moment. Instead, he took Brianna's hand. "Let's take one thing at a time. First, let's find out what's wrong with her." When the doctor finally appeared with the results, he brought good news. Lily had fainted from hypoglycemia, low blood sugar, probably because she had skipped breakfast that morning. "It's something easily managed with a proper diet," explained the doctor. "She needs to eat regularly, especially in the morning. Some children are more sensitive to fasting than others." Brianna collapsed into tears of relief. Harrison instinctively hugged her, and she didn't pull away. "Can I see my daughter now?" she asked. "Of course, she's already awake and asking for her mommy." When they entered the room, Lily was sitting on the bed, pale but smiling. "Mommy! Uncle Harrison!" The girl stretched out her arms to both of them, and Harrison felt his heart break and mend at the same time. "How are you feeling, Princess?" he asked. "Better, but I'm hungry." Brianna laughed through her tears. "Of course you are. You didn't eat a proper breakfast this morning." "Sorry, Mommy, I was in a hurry to get to school." While Brianna spoke with the doctor about the necessary care, Harrison sat down next to Lily. "You gave me quite a scare today," he said. "Sorry, but it's cool that you came to see me at the hospital." "Of course I came. I care a lot about you and your mom." Lily studied him with that seriousness children sometimes show. "Uncle Harrison, why does my mom get sad when she talks about you?" The question caught him off guard. "What do you mean?" "Sometimes she stares into space and gets a sad face. Then I ask what she's thinking about and she says nothing, but I know it's not true." Harrison didn't know how to answer that. "Maybe your mom is just tired from work." "No, that's not it. It's a different kind of sad, like when you miss someone." What else did this 6-year-old girl know? Harrison wondered if Brianna really felt something for him, or if Lily was just misinterpreting her mother's worries. When it was time to leave, Harrison offered to drive Brianna and Lily home. During the ride, Lily slept in the back seat, exhausted by the day's drama. "Thank you," Brianna said softly, "for everything today. I don't know how I would have managed without your help." "You don't need to thank me. I just did what any decent person would do." "No, that's not true. Many people would have just expressed sympathy and left. You stayed, cancelled your appointments, solved practical problems. That means a lot to me." Harrison parked in front of the small building where they lived. It was a simple but well-kept building with small flower-filled balconies. "Brianna," he said before she got out of the car, "I want to apologize for everything that happened. I had no right to insert myself into your lives the way I did, but I want you to know I never had bad intentions. The two of you awakened something in me I thought I had lost forever." What did we awaken? The ability to care about other people, to want to be a better person. Brianna looked at him for a long moment. "Can you come up for a minute? I want to show you something." Harrison helped her carry the sleeping Lily up to the apartment. It was small but cozy, full of Lily's drawings on the walls and photos of the two of them together. Brianna put her daughter to bed and returned to the living room. "Would you like some coffee? If it's not too much trouble." While she prepared the coffee, Harrison observed the surroundings. It was evident that every object had been chosen with affection and care. There was no luxury, but there was love in every detail. "Lily told the truth today," said Brianna, bringing 2 cups. "I have been thinking about you." Harrison nearly spilled his coffee. "Really? Really? And it scares me a lot." "Why?" Brianna sat on the sofa next to him, but keeping a safe distance. "Because I promised myself I would never let a man into my life in a way that could hurt me again. Lily and I are fine on our own. We have our routine, our life, our dreams. It's simple, but it's ours. And do I represent a threat to that stability? You represent change, and change is always scary when you've built something with so much effort. Harrison nodded, understanding. What happened with Lily's father hurt you deeply? It destroyed me, Brianna admitted. Not just because he left, but because of how he did it. He said I had to choose between him and the pregnancy, as if that were a real choice, as if I could discard my own daughter. And you chose Lily. Of course I chose her, but I paid a high price. My family turned their backs on me, said I had made the wrong choice. I lost friends, job opportunities. I had to rebuild my entire life from scratch. And you did it. Lily is an amazing child, and you are a wonderful mother. Thank you, but do you understand why I'm afraid to trust men again? Especially men who seem too good to be true. Harrison laughed bitterly. I'm not too good to be true. I'm just a lonely man who got lost in his own success and forgot how to connect with other people. But you're rich, successful, handsome. Why would you be interested in a cleaning lady with a daughter? Because you make me want to be a better person. Because when I see you with Lily, I remember what's really important in life. Because the two of you have something all my money could never buy, a real family. Brianna was quiet for a long time, stirring her coffee in the cup. Harrison, she said finally, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I feel a connection too. Since that first time at the upscale bistro when you tried to pay for our meal, I was angry but also touched. It had been a long time since anyone worried about us. Then why did you push me away? Because I'm afraid. Afraid of falling for someone who might leave when the novelty wears off. Afraid of Lily getting attached to you, and then having to explain why you don't come around anymore. Afraid to discover that all this is just a phase for you. Harrison placed the cup on the table and turned to her completely. Can I ask you a question? If I were an ordinary man, without money, working a normal job, would you give me a chance? Brianna thought for a moment. Maybe. If you showed that you're reliable, that you're interested in me and Lily for who we are, not for what we need, then let me prove that, not with money, not with expensive gifts, just by being present, being consistent, being honest. How? Let me be your friend first. Let me get to know you both for real, at your own pace. No pressure, no expectations, just being there. Brianna studied him for a long moment, as if trying to see his soul. It would be strange, she finally said. A rich businessman being friends with a poor cleaning lady. It would be real, corrected Harrison. It would be two people getting to know each other without social masks. Lily appeared at the bedroom door, rubbing her eyes. Mommy, are you okay? I am, sweetie. How are you feeling? Better. Is Uncle Harrison still here? I'm still here, Princess. Good. Can I finish hearing the story now? Harrison looked at Brianna, who nodded. Of course. Where did we leave off anyway? And so in the small apartment, with Lily wrapped in a blanket on the sofa between the two adults, Harrison continued the story of the brave princess. This time, he went all the way to the end, where the princess discovered that her true strength came not from magical powers, but from the courage to trust the right people. When the story ended, Lily was almost asleep again. Brianna took her to bed and returned to the living room. She's grown attached to you, she said, and I've grown attached to her, to both of you. Harrison, if we're going to try this, if we're going to be friends, I need you to understand a few things. I'm listening. Lily comes first, always. If at any point I feel your presence isn't good for her, I'll ask you to step back regardless of my feelings. I understand and completely agree. I can't accept money from you, or expensive gifts, or favors that put me in your debt. I need to keep my independence. I understand. And we need to go slow, very slow. I can't afford to make mistakes when it comes to relationships. All the time you need. Brianna nodded, seeming more relaxed. So, friends? Friends. They shook hands formally, then laughed at the formality of the gesture. Can I ask you a question now? Said Harrison. Sure. What are you studying at night? Brianna smiled. How do you know about that? I overheard a comment at the bakery in your neighborhood. Nursing. I've always wanted to be a nurse since I was little, but I never had the chance. Now I'm taking a technical course at night. "And how is it, juggling work, studies, and taking care of Lily?" "Hard," she admitted. "Very hard. Sometimes I think I'm going to go crazy, but it's the only way to get a better job in the future, to give Lily a better life." "Can I help in some way?" "Not with money," he hurried to clarify. "But maybe by watching Lily some afternoons while you study, or helping with the subjects if I know anything." "You understand nursing." "No, but I understand administration, math, English, and I can learn the rest if necessary." Brianna smiled for the first time since they'd met. "You know, that could actually be helpful. I struggle with some basic subjects because it's been so long since I stopped studying." "Then it's settled. Can I be your private tutor?" "For free?" "The pleasure of your company is payment enough." In the following days, Harrison established a new routine. He would stop by Brianna's apartment 3 times a week after work to help her with her studies. Lily would do her homework at the kitchen table while they studied in the living room. It was surreal for Harrison to be in that simple environment, drinking coffee from plain mugs, explaining math concepts at a scratched wooden table. But it was also the happiest he had felt in years. Brianna was a dedicated and intelligent student. She had stopped studying young out of necessity, but had a sharp mind and a thirst for knowledge. Harrison was surprised by her insightful questions and her ability to connect concepts. "You could have easily gone to college if you'd had the opportunity," he remarked one night after she solved a particularly complex problem. "No use thinking about what could have been," said Brianna. "I'd rather focus on what I can still achieve." It was this attitude that most impressed Harrison. Brianna didn't let herself become bitter over lost opportunities. Instead, she worked tirelessly to create new ones. Lily also grew accustomed to his presence. She began showing him her drawings, telling stories from school, asking for help with difficult homework. Harrison discovered he had endless patience for the girl's questions, no matter how repetitive. "Uncle Harrison, why is the sky blue?" "It's because of how sunlight scatters in the atmosphere." "But why isn't it green?" "Because air molecules scatter blue light more." "But why isn't it red?" And so on, until Harrison made up a funny story about the sun being a painter who chose blue as his favorite color for the sky. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing. After a few weeks of this routine, Harrison noticed subtle changes in himself. He arrived at the law firm in the morning excited, thinking about the afternoon meeting with Brianna and Lily. He worked more efficiently to be able to leave on time. His partners noticed his improved mood. "You're different," Arthur commented during a business lunch. "Lighter, more focused. Did you get a girlfriend?" Harrison hesitated. "Something like that." "That's good. It was about time." "You were getting too lonely." But not everything was easy. Harrison began to notice the curious looks from Brianna's neighbors when he arrived at the building. A well-dressed man, driving an expensive car, visiting the young single mother several times a week inevitably drew attention. One afternoon, as he was leaving the apartment, an elderly lady approached him in the lobby. "Excuse my curiosity, but are you related to Brianna?" "No, I'm a family friend," Harrison replied politely. "Ah, it's just that we worry about her, you know. She's such a young, hard-working girl. We don't want anyone taking advantage of her." Harrison understood the message. Even if well-intentioned, the neighbors were protecting Brianna in the way they knew how. "You're right to be concerned," he said. "Brianna is a special person and deserves to be protected. My intentions are completely honest, you can be sure." The woman studied him for a moment, then nodded. "You seem like a good man." "And Lily has been so happy lately." When Harrison told Brianna about the episode, she laughed. "Mrs. Gable is the unofficial president of the building. If she approved of you, half the battle was won." "And the other half?" "You having to deal with me being stubborn and suspicious for a few more months." Harrison smiled. "I'm willing to wait as long as necessary." One night, while studying math at the living room table, Lily already asleep in the bedroom, Brianna stopped in the middle of an exercise. "Can I tell you something?" "Of course." "When Lily was born, I cried for 3 days straight." Harrison stopped writing and looked at her attentively. "Not from sadness," she continued, "but from fear. Fear of not being able to take care of her properly, of not having enough money, of her growing up and hating me for being born poor. And now I know I made the right choices. Lily is happy, healthy, smart. We may not have much money, but she has something more important. She is sure she is loved. That really is the most important thing. But did you know that sometimes I'm still afraid? Of what? That she'll grow up and realize everything I couldn't give her. Trips, designer clothes, private school, extra courses. Brianna, said Harrison softly, you are giving her the most valuable thing there is. A present, dedicated mother who sacrifices everything for her. That is worth more than any material possession. Do you really think so? I'm sure. My parents had a lot of money, but they never had time for me. I grew up with nannies and private tutors, but what I wanted most was for them to take me to play ball in the park or help me with homework. And they didn't do that. Never. They were always traveling for work or in meetings or at social dinners. I had everything money could buy, except for real attention and affection. Brianna placed her hand over his on the table. I'm sorry, that must have been very lonely. It was. That's why I get so emotional seeing you and Lily together. You have something I always wanted to have. A real family. Harrison? Yes? You can be a bit silly sometimes, you know. He laughed. Why? Because you already have a family. Maybe not in the traditional way, but you do. Lily adores you, and I... She stopped, seeming to struggle with the words. And you what? I'm starting to care about you very much, more than I should, more than is sensible. Harrison felt his heart speed up. And that's bad? It's scary. They looked at each other for a moment, the tension in the air palpable. Then Harrison slowly reached out and touched Brianna's face. It's scary for me too, he whispered. It's been 5 years since I've felt anything for anyone. I thought I had lost the ability to love. And now? Now I know I was just waiting for the right people. They moved closer slowly, as if testing whether that moment was real. When their lips touched, it was as if all barriers and defenses finally crumbled. The kiss was soft, hesitant at first, then more confident. When they parted, both had tears in their eyes. I can't promise it will be easy, said Brianna. I have a lot of scars, a lot of fears. And I can't promise I'll know how to be the man you deserve, said Harrison. But I can promise I'll try every day. That's all I can ask for. They kissed again, this time with more certainty. When they parted, Harrison rested his forehead against hers. Can I tell you a secret? You can. Since that first day at the upscale bistro, I've dreamed of a world where we are a real family. You, me, and Lily, where I wake up every day knowing I have the two most important people in my life waiting for me. Harrison, I know it's too soon to talk about this. I know you need time. But I wanted you to know that's my dream now. Brianna smiled, tears streaming down her face. You know what my secret is? What? Sometimes I dream of the same thing. In the weeks that followed, their relationship evolved naturally. There were no grand declarations or dramatic changes. Harrison kept showing up for the study sessions, kept helping Lily with her homework, kept being a constant and reliable presence. But now there were good-night kisses, longer hugs, whispered conversations after Lily fell asleep. There was a growing intimacy, built on a solid foundation of friendship and mutual respect. Lily noticed the changes, of course. Children always do. Mum, do you like Uncle Harrison? She asked one morning, as they were getting ready to leave. Yes, honey, I do. Why? Because you seem happier when he's here, and he seems happier too. And you? Do you like having Uncle Harrison around? Lily thought seriously, as she always did with important questions. I like it a lot. He tells cool stories, helps with homework, and makes you smile. There's just one thing I want to know. What? If he's going to stay forever or leave like my dad did. The question hit Brianna like a punch. She knelt in front of Lily, holding her little hands. Honey, Uncle Harrison is different from your dad. He's a good person who really cares about us. But how can you be sure? Brianna didn't have a ready answer. How do you explain the complex mechanisms of trust and relationships to a 6-year-old? I can't be absolutely sure, she said honestly, but I can promise you that I'll only let people stay close to us if I believe they are good and will treat us well. And you believe Uncle Harrison is good? I do. Then I believe it too. The simplicity of a child's logic touched Brianna deeply. That night she told Harrison about the conversation. She's worried I'll leave like her father did, he said, visibly moved. And will you? Never. Of my own will, never. Then maybe it's time you talk to her about it. The following weekend, Harrison took Lily to the park while Brianna studied for an important test. It was the first time they were alone together for a few hours. Lily, he said as she played on the swing, can I ask you a serious question? Okay. Do you get worried that I'll go away and stop visiting you? Lily stopped swinging and looked at him with those big, expressive eyes. Sometimes. Why sometimes? Because my mom got very sad when my dad left. I was very little, but I remember her crying a lot. I don't want her to be sad again. Harrison felt his heart break. How could such a young child carry such worry? Lily, can I tell you something about me? Okay. I never had a real family. My parents weren't very affectionate, and I never had brothers or sisters. For a long time, I thought I'd be alone forever. And now I have you two. And you know what? You make me happier than I've ever been in my whole life. Really? Really? That's why I want to make you a very serious promise. Lily got off the swing and stood in front of him with that seriousness only children can have. What promise? Harrison knelt down to her level. I promise I will never leave you of my own will. I promise I will always be here when you need me. And I promise I will take care of you and your mom forever, if she'll let me. Forever for real. Forever for real. Lily hugged him tightly, and Harrison felt he was making the most important promise of his life. Uncle Harrison? Yes? Can you be my heart, Dad? Harrison had to fight not to cry in front of her. It would be the greatest honor of my life, Princess. When they got home, Brianna immediately sensed something important had happened. Harrison and Lily seemed closer, more connected. How was the outing? She asked. Uncle Harrison said he's going to be my heart, Dad, Lily announced joyfully. Brianna looked at Harrison with an expression that mixed surprise, emotion, and a little panic. Is it true? If you'll allow it, said Harrison. I know it's a huge responsibility, and maybe it's too soon to talk about this, but... Harrison? She interrupted him gently. Yes. You've been her heart, Dad, for weeks now. I was just waiting for you to realize it. That night, after Lily fell asleep, they talked about the future concretely for the first time. Where is this going? Asked Brianna. Wherever you want it to go, Harrison replied. That's not how it works. I need to know what your expectations are, your plans. Harrison thought for a moment, trying to organize his confused feelings into clear words. My ideal plan would be for us to get married someday. I would officially adopt Lily if she wanted and you allowed it. You would move to a bigger house, in a safe neighborhood, near a good school. You would finish your nursing course without worrying about money. And we would build a life together based on love, respect, and partnership. And if I don't want that, then we would continue as we are for as long as you want. There's no pressure, no ultimatums. There's only love and patience. Brianna was quiet for a long time, processing. This bigger house, this better neighborhood, wouldn't that be you supporting me? It would be us sharing resources as a couple. You would contribute with your nurse's salary when you graduated. It would be a real partnership. And if it didn't work out? If we discovered we were incompatible after getting married? That's the risk any couple takes. I can't guarantee we'll be happy forever, but I can guarantee I'll fight every day for us to be. Harrison, you need to understand something about me. I'm listening. I can't be a trophy wife. I can't stay home organizing dinners and pretending to be someone I'm not. I want to work. I want to have my career. I want to be financially independent. That's exactly what I expect from you. I don't want to change who you are. I want to support who you want to become. Even if that means night shifts at the hospital, exhaustion, stress, especially because of that. I admire your dedication and ambition. I don't want you to give up on your dreams because of me." Brianna smiled for the first time in the conversation. "You really are different, aren't you?" "Different how?" "Most rich men I know want a wife who makes them look successful. You want a real partner." "I want the woman who makes me want to be a better person every day." 3 months later, Harrison asked Brianna to marry him. It wasn't a traditional proposal, with an expensive ring and a fancy upscale bistro. It was on a Sunday afternoon in the small kitchen of her apartment, while they were preparing lunch together, and Lily played in the living room. "Brianna," he said, stopping from peeling potatoes. "Yes?" "Marry me." She almost dropped the pot she was holding. Just like that, out of nowhere. "It's not out of nowhere. I've been thinking about it for weeks, but I couldn't find the perfect moment. Then I realized this is the perfect moment, the three of us at home doing ordinary things together. Harrison, I know I don't have a ring yet. I know this isn't the proposal of your dreams." "It is," she interrupted him, with tears in her eyes. "It's exactly the proposal of my dreams." "Is that a yes?" "It's a yes." They kissed right there in the kitchen, with the smell of spices and the sound of Lily singing in the living room. It was perfect precisely because it was so ordinary, so real, so them. "Can I tell Lily?" asked Harrison. "Let's tell her together." Lily received the news with an explosion of joy that made the neighbors knock on the wall. "We're going to be a real family," she shouted, jumping on the sofa. "We already are a real family," said Brianna. "Now we're just going to have official roles." The wedding was simple, at the neighborhood church where Lily was baptized, with only a few close friends and Brianna's co-workers. Harrison invited only Arthur and 2 other close partners. There was no grand party or exotic honeymoon. Instead, they spent the weekend at a simple inn in the countryside, where Lily could play in the river, and they could plan the future calmly. "You don't regret not having a big wedding?" asked Harrison one afternoon, while they watched Lily building sandcastles on the riverbank. "No. This wedding was exactly what I wanted. Intimate, true, about the 3 of us." "And the dress?" "I know you always dreamed of an elaborate wedding dress." "Harrison, you still don't get it," said Brianna, laughing. "My dreams have changed. Before I dreamed of charming princes and fairy tale endings. Now I dream of Sunday mornings making pancakes together, of conversations in bed after Lily falls asleep, of building something real and lasting." "And are you happy with this change?" "I'm happy with this reality." The move to the new house was an event in itself. Harrison had bought a simple but spacious house in a middle-class neighborhood, near an excellent school and the hospital where Brianna would do her internship. It wasn't a mansion, but to Lily, it seemed like a palace. "Mommy, look, my room has a big window," she shouted, running through the empty rooms. "And you'll have your own office to study," Harrison said to Brianna. "Harrison, that's not necessary." "Yes, it is. You need your own quiet space to concentrate on your studies." Adapting to the new life wasn't without challenges. Harrison had to learn to share space, to consider other people in his decisions, to understand that his house was no longer just his. Brianna had to get used to having more resources available, to being able to buy things without counting every cent 3 times, to having a partner to share responsibilities. Lily was the one who adapted most easily, as children usually do. She loved having a backyard to play in, loved the new school, loved having Harrison always present to help with homework and tell bedtime stories. "Dad," she said one night, already in bed, "can I tell you a secret?" "Of course, Princess. Sometimes I pretend you were always my dad, that there wasn't a time when it was just me and Mommy." Harrison felt a tightness in his chest. "And why do you do that?" "Because it's easier. It's easier to imagine we were always a complete family. Lily, that time when it was just you and your mom was important too. That's when you two became so close, so strong. I don't want you to forget that." "Why?" "Because that time shows how brave your mom is, how much she loves you, how the 2 of you managed to overcome difficulties together. That's an important part of who you are. Lily thought for a moment. So our family has two parts, the part with just me and Mommy and the part with you too? Exactly, and both parts are important. And do you like both parts? I love both parts, but I confess I prefer the part where I'm included. Lily laughed and hugged him. Me too. The first year of marriage brought constant joys and discoveries. Harrison learned the rituals of family life, breakfast together before school and work, dinners where each person told about their day, weekends with simple but fun plans. Brianna graduated as a nurse with top marks and got a job at the most respected private hospital in the city. Her first shift as a nurse was a moment of pride for the whole family. How was it? Harrison asked when she got home, still in uniform. It was amazing, she said, her eyes shining. I really did it, Harrison. I managed to graduate, get a good job, build a career. You did it because you deserved it, because you worked hard and never gave up. We did it, she corrected. I never would have managed without your support. Nonsense. You would have managed anyway, maybe it just would have taken a little longer. Maybe. But it's much better to do it with you by my side. Lily, now 7 years old, was thriving at the new school. Her grades were excellent, she had made friends easily, and developed new interests like dance and painting. Dad, she said during dinner, at school there's a presentation for Father's Day. Will you be able to go? Harrison almost choked on his food. It was the first time Lily had officially called him Dad in front of Brianna. Of course I'll be there. I wouldn't miss it for the world. That's great. I'll tell my teacher my dad will be there. Brianna and Harrison exchanged an emotional look across the table. That night, after Lily fell asleep, they talked about the milestone that had been reached. She called you Dad, Brianna said. I heard. And you? How do you feel about that? Happy, relieved, complete. Relieved? I was always afraid Lily would grow up feeling the absence of a father figure. Now I know she has one, and it's the best one possible. Brianna, can I ask you a question I've been avoiding? You can. Have you ever regretted it? Choosing me, changing your life so much? Brianna turned in bed to face him. Harrison, remember that first conversation, when you said I had awakened in you the ability to care about other people? I remember. You awakened something similar in me, but different. You showed me I could accept love without losing my strength, that I could have a partnership without giving up my independence, that I deserve to be cared for too, not just to care for others. And that's good? It's revolutionary. For years I thought asking for help was weakness, that accepting love was putting yourself in a vulnerable position. You taught me that real strength is knowing when to lean on someone. So you don't regret it? Not for a second. And you? I regret only one thing. What? Not having met you all sooner, having lost so many years living alone when I could have been building this here with you. But if you had met us sooner, would we be the same people? Would you be the man who fell in love with a mother sharing a sandwich? Harrison thought about the question. It was true. His first wife had died 5 years earlier. Without that loss, without those years of solitude and reflection, he would probably still be the cold businessman focused only on work. You're right, he admitted. Maybe everything happened at the right time. I'm sure it did. 2 years after the wedding, an unexpected surprise came. Brianna discovered she was pregnant. The news brought a mix of joy and worry. They hadn't planned on having children so soon. They were still adjusting to life as a trio. How are you feeling? Harrison asked at the doctor's appointment. Scared, Brianna admitted, and happy. And worried about Lily. How will she react? We'll find out together. Telling Lily was easier than they expected. She received the news with pure enthusiasm. I'm going to be a big sister, she shouted. I can teach the baby to draw, to read, to play. Yes, you can, said Harrison. You're going to be a wonderful big sister. Will the baby call me Lily or sister? He'll probably call you Lily, but you'll be his big sister. And will he call you Dad too? He will. That's so cool. We're going to be an even bigger family. The pregnancy was smooth, but it brought natural changes to the family dynamic. Harrison became even more protective and attentive. Brianna had to slow down at work. Lily became her mother's official helper, always concerned about the baby's well-being. "Mommy, did you eat your vegetables today?" she asked every day. "I did, sweetie." "And did you take your vitamins?" "I did." "And did you rest?" "I rested." "Good. The baby needs you to be strong." Harrison watched these interactions with his heart tight with emotion. Lily was preparing to be a big sister with the same seriousness she did everything in life. When Caleb Sterling was born, they chose the name in honor of the boy from the first story Harrison told Lily. The family felt complete in a way none of them had anticipated. Lily fell in love with her little brother immediately. She wanted to help with everything, giving the bottle, changing diapers, getting him to sleep by singing. "Dad," she said one night as they watched Caleb sleeping in his crib, "thank you for finding us." "Why thank you?" "Because now we have everything. A complete family, a good home, Caleb. We have everything a person could have." Harrison hugged the girl, moved by her precocious wisdom. "You're right, Princess. We really do have everything." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing. With Caleb in the family, life became busier, but also richer in special moments. Harrison discovered that being the father of a newborn was completely different from being the stepfather to a 6-year-old, but equally rewarding. The sleepless nights, the dirty diapers, the unexplained cries, all of this was new to him, but he faced each challenge with the patience of someone who knew he was living a privilege. "You're a natural father," Brianna commented one morning, watching him rock Caleb while making breakfast with one hand. "I have a good teacher," he replied, nodding toward Lily, who was organizing her school backpack. "Dad, you're not going to drop Caleb, right?" asked Lily, always concerned. "I won't, Princess. Dad is getting to be an expert at this." The family routine reorganized itself naturally. Brianna took maternity leave but continued studying for specializations. Harrison adjusted his work schedule to be more present at home. Lily proudly assumed the role of the responsible big sister. "Mommy, can I feed Caleb his baby food?" she would ask every day. "You can, but be careful." I know. A tiny spoon. Wait for him to swallow. Don't force it." Harrison watched these scenes with admiration. How could a 7-year-old have such a sense of responsibility and love? One afternoon, while Lily was at school and Caleb slept, Harrison and Brianna sat in the backyard to talk about the future. "How do you imagine our life 10 years from now?" she asked. "Lily a teenager, probably giving me trouble with boyfriends," said Harrison, laughing. "Caleb starting to walk and talk, probably destroying the house. You established in your career, maybe with your own practice. And the two of us, hopefully still in love and happy. And you, don't you think about expanding the business, conquering new markets?" Harrison reflected for a moment. "You know what? For the first time in my life, I'm satisfied with what I have. I don't feel the need for more money, more recognition, more anything. I have you three. I have a company that runs well. I have a balanced life. It's enough." "Won't you miss the adrenaline of the big deals?" The adrenaline now is seeing Lily win first place at the science fair, or Caleb smiling for the first time, or you getting a promotion at the hospital. They're different achievements, more meaningful. "Harrison." "Yes." "I love you. I love you in a way I didn't know it was possible to love someone." "What do you mean?" "I love you not just as a wife loves a husband, but as a life partner. As a mother loves the father of her children. As a person loves the one who makes her be the best version of herself." Harrison felt his eyes well up. "I love you like that too. And then some. And then some. How? I love you for the courage you had to trust me even when you were scared. I love you for the amazing mother you are. I love you for the strong woman you never stopped being, even while accepting help. I love you for teaching me that family is the most important thing in the world." They sat in silence for a moment, absorbing the depth of what they had built together. "Harrison?" "Yes?" "That first day at the upscale bistro, when you saw Lily and me sharing the sandwich, what exactly did you think?" Harrison smiled, remembering. I thought I had never seen so much love in such a simple gesture. I thought I wanted to be part of that, even without knowing what that was. I thought you two had something I had lost or never had, a true connection. And now? Do you still feel we lost that simplicity? No. We evolved it. Now we share not just sandwiches, but dreams, worries, joys, responsibilities. It's the same connection, but deeper. More complex, too. Richer. Caleb Sterling woke up crying in his room, interrupting the intimate moment. "I'll go," said Harrison, getting up. "No, let me. You have to pick up Lily from school soon." "Let's go get Caleb together, then Lily." And so they did, as they did with almost everything. Together. Time passed quickly. Lily grew up and became an intelligent and caring preteen, always careful with her younger brother. Caleb became a curious and cheerful boy who called Harrison Dad from his first words. Brianna specialized in obstetric nursing and opened her own clinic with 2 colleagues. Harrison continued running his businesses, but with much more balance between work and family. "Dad," said Lily one afternoon, already 12 years old, "can I ask you something?" "Of course, Princess. Do you remember my biological father?" The question caught Harrison by surprise. Lily rarely spoke about her biological father. "I remember your mother told me about him. Why do you ask?" "Sometimes I wonder what it would be like if he hadn't left, if our family would be different." "And what do you conclude?" Lily thought for a moment, with that seriousness that had characterized her since she was little. "I conclude it would be different, but not necessarily better. Maybe he wouldn't be as good a father as you. Maybe we wouldn't be as happy." "And how does that make you feel?" "Grateful. Grateful that he left, so that you could come. Grateful for having the right father for me." Harrison hugged his daughter, moved by her maturity. "You know I feel grateful too, right? For being able to be your father, even if not biologically. Dad, biology is just science, family is love, and you love us more than any biological father in the world could. Where did you get all that wisdom?" "From Mom. She always taught me that what matters isn't where we come from, but where we go together." That night, Harrison told Brianna about the conversation. "She's growing up," said Brianna, "starting to understand the complexities of adult life. And you? Do you regret anything about how we handled the biological father issue?" "No. We were always honest with her, to an age-appropriate degree. We never spoke ill of him, but we also never invented romanticized stories. We let her draw her own conclusions. And Caleb, what will we tell him when he grows up about having a brother from a different father? The truth. That family isn't about blood, it's about choice. That you chose each other, that Lily chose you as her father, that you chose to be her father. Do you think that will be enough?" "I'm sure. Look how Lily developed with that perspective. She is secure, confident, loving. She knows she is wanted, and that she belongs here." Harrison nodded, admiring once again his wife's wisdom in family matters. A few months later, they received unexpected news. Lily's biological father, who had completely disappeared from their lives, made contact through a lawyer. At first, Harrison felt a mix of anger and fear. Anger that this man would appear after 6 years of complete absence, and fear that it would destabilize Lily. "What does he want?" he asked the family lawyer they had hired. "Apparently he wants to meet his daughter. He says he has matured, that he regrets abandoning the family, that he wants to be part of her life." "And legally? Does he have rights?" "He does. As the biological father who was never legally stripped of parental rights, he is entitled to supervised visits, at least initially." Harrison felt the world collapse. How to protect Lily from this situation? How to protect the stability of the family they had built? "What's the next step?" asked Brianna, visibly shaken. "We need to talk with Lily," said the lawyer. "Due to her age, the judge will consider her opinion. She has the right to know her biological father wants to meet her, and she has the right to choose whether she wants that contact or not." The conversation with Lily was one of the most difficult they had ever had. "Your biological father has been in touch," said Brianna softly. "He wants to meet you." Lily, now 12 years old, received the information with surprising calm. "Why now?" "We don't know exactly. He says he's matured and regrets things. And you? What do you think? Harrison and Brianna exchanged a look. They had talked about this for hours. We think the decision should be yours, said Harrison. You have the right to meet him if you want, but you also have the right to refuse. And if I choose to meet him, will anything change here at home? Nothing will change, said Brianna firmly. You are still our daughter, this is still your family, your home, your life. And you won't be mad if I want to meet him. We won't be mad, said Harrison, though his voice trembled slightly. We'll be worried, because we don't want you to get hurt. But we will respect your decision. Lily was thoughtful for a long moment. Can I meet him, but just once, to see what he's like? You can. And if I don't like him, I don't have to see him again. You don't have to. And if I do like him, can I keep seeing him sometimes? You can, but always with our supervision, at least at first. Then I want to meet him, just to see what he's like. Out of curiosity, really. The meeting was set for a Saturday afternoon in a public park, with Harrison and Brianna present. Lily was visibly nervous, but determined. When the biological father appeared, Harrison immediately recognized him as a weak man. Not physically, but emotionally. There was something in his gestures, in his way of speaking, that conveyed insecurity and instability. Hi, Lily, he said, clearly unsure how to approach his own daughter. Hi, she replied, shy but polite. You've gotten so big, so pretty. You look like your mother. Lily just nodded, not knowing what to say. The conversation was awkward and artificial. The biological father tried to impress Lily by telling her about his current life, his professional achievements, his regrets, but it was evident he knew nothing about her, her interests, her activities, her personality. Do you like sports? He asked at one point. I like dance, replied Lily. Oh, that's cool. I used to play soccer when I was younger. Cool, she said without much interest. Harrison watched the whole interaction with a heavy heart, not out of jealousy, but out of pity for Lily having to deal with this awkward situation. After an hour, Lily turned to Harrison and Brianna. Can I go home now? Of course, sweetheart. During the drive back, Lily was quiet in the back seat. She only spoke when they got home. He's kind of weird, isn't he? What did you think of him? Asked Brianna. He doesn't know me at all. He keeps talking about things that have nothing to do with me, and it seems like he's trying to sell something the whole time. And how do you feel about that? Lily thought for a moment. Relieved. Relieved how? Relieved to know I didn't miss anything when he left. Relieved to know that Dad Harrison is a much better father than he could be. Relieved to know our family is perfect just the way it is. Do you want to see him more times? No need, I've satisfied my curiosity. He's not a bad person, but he's not special either. He's just normal, and I already have the father I need. Harrison had to leave the room so he wouldn't cry in front of Lily. Later, when the children were asleep, he and Brianna talked about the day. How do you feel? She asked, proud of Lily, impressed by her maturity and grateful. Grateful for what? That she chose me, that she saw that what matters isn't who fathered you, but who raised you with love. She learned that because that's what we taught her from a young age. And you? How do you feel having seen her biological father? Brianna sighed. It confirmed what I always knew. I made the right choice when I decided to raise Lily alone, and I made an even better choice when I decided to accept you into our lives. Not even a hint of longing, no what-ifs. None. When he left, I cried for a week, not for him, but for the family I had imagined we would have. Today, seeing him, I realized that family never really existed. It was just a fantasy of mine. And the family we have now? It's real. It's solid. It's based on true love, respect, partnership. It's everything I ever wanted, but never knew I could have. In the following years, the family's life continued peacefully and happily. Lily became a responsible and caring teenager, always close to her parents and brother. Caleb grew up surrounded by love and security, developing a cheerful and curious personality. Harrison and Brianna consolidated their respective professional successes, but always kept family as the priority. Brianna's clinic prospered, and she became a reference in her specialty. Harrison discreetly expanded the businesses, but turned down opportunities that would require too much time away from home. "Dad," said Caleb one afternoon, now 4 years old, "why does Lily call me brother if you're not her dad the same as you're mine?" The question, asked with the natural innocence of children, caught Harrison by surprise. "What do you mean, son? Grandma said Lily had another dad before you, so why is she my sister?" Harrison knelt in front of the boy, thinking of the best way to explain. "Caleb, family isn't about who shares the same father. Family is about who loves and cares for each other. But then can anyone be in our family? Anyone we choose to love and who chooses to love us back. And you chose Mommy and Lily." "I did, and they chose me. And when you were born, we all chose to love you too. And can I choose to love you?" "You can. In fact, you've already made that choice, even without realizing it." Caleb was thoughtful for a moment. "So we're a family of choices?" "Exactly. We're a family of choices." "I like that. Me too, son." That night, Harrison told Brianna and Lily about the conversation. "He's starting to understand the complexities of our family situation," observed Brianna. "And he's handling it well," added Lily, "just like I did at his age." "Lily," said Harrison, "did you ever feel different for having a non-traditional family situation?" "No. I knew other families were different from ours, but I also knew our family worked well. It had love, it had care, it had clear rules. It was everything I needed." "And now, as a teenager, more aware of social differences?" Lily thought for a moment. "Now I'm proud of our family, proud to have such a brave mother, proud to have a father who chose me out of love, proud to have a brother born into a home full of love. We're different, but we're special." "Do your friends ask questions about our family?" "Some do. But when I explain, they're impressed. They think our story is beautiful. Some even say they wish they had a family like this." "How so?" "A family where people consciously chose each other, where everyone knows they are wanted and valued. Many of my friends live with parents who stayed together out of obligation, not love. They don't have the security I have." Harrison was moved by his daughter's mature perspective. "You've become an amazing person, Lily. I had good teachers." The years passed with the natural ease of happy families. There were challenges, of course. Lily went through difficult phases as a teenager. Caleb sometimes threw typical childhood tantrums. Harrison and Brianna occasionally disagreed about family decisions. But they were normal conflicts, resolved with dialogue, patience, and love. The solid foundation they had built allowed them to face any difficulty united. When Lily turned 16, Harrison surprised her with a special gift, a trip to meet his family, who lived in another city. "I thought it was important for you to meet your paternal grandparents," he said. "Will they accept me as their granddaughter? They will love you as their granddaughter, because you are my daughter in my heart." The trip was a success. Harrison's parents, initially surprised by the unconventional family situation, were quickly charmed by Lily and Caleb. They had missed having grandchildren and found in their son's family a new source of joy. "You've raised wonderful children," Harrison's mother said to Brianna. "Lily is polite, intelligent, affectionate. Caleb is a happy, well-adjusted boy. You've done an excellent job." "Thank you. Harrison is a wonderful father. I always knew he would be. He just needed to find the right family." "What do you mean?" "My son was always a caring person, but very emotionally closed off. After he lost his first wife, we thought he would never allow himself to love anyone again. You awakened in him a happiness we hadn't seen since he was a child." The conversation touched Brianna deeply. It was comforting to know that Harrison's family approved of and supported their union. During the trip, Lily had long conversations with her paternal grandparents, who told her stories about Harrison's childhood, showed her old photos, and shared family memories. "Now I feel even more a part of the family," she said on the flight back. "I know your history. I know where Dad comes from. I understand better why he is the way he is." And what did you think of your grandparents? They're good people, but a bit formal. You can tell Dad grew up in a different environment than I did. More rigid, more serious. And does that change anything about how you see him? Yes. It makes me admire even more how he managed to be such a caring and present father, even without having had that example at home. He learned that with us, said Brianna. Just as we learned many things from him. That's what I like most about our family, said Lily. Everyone is always learning and growing together. At 18, Lily was accepted into university to study psychology. She had decided she wanted to help other children in complex family situations, inspired by her own experience. I'm sure you'll be an exceptional psychologist, Harrison said the day she received the acceptance letter. I want to work specifically with non-traditional families. Adoptive families, blended families, single-parent families. I want to help people understand that love is more important than biology. Your personal experience will be very valuable. I hope so. I want other children to have the same security I had, even in complex situations. Caleb, now 8 years old, watched his sister's preparations for university with a mixture of pride and sadness. Is Lily going to live far from us? He asked one afternoon. Not too far, Brianna explained. She'll live on the university campus during the week, but she'll come home on weekends. And after she graduates? Then she'll work and maybe live on her own, like adults do. But will she still be my sister? Always. Being a brother is for life. Even when I grow up and get married and have kids? Even then. Actually, your children will be her nephews, and she'll be their aunt. Caleb smiled at the prospect. So our family will keep growing? It will keep growing. Lily's first year at university was a period of adjustment for the whole family. Harrison and Brianna felt her absence deeply during the week. Caleb missed his constant playmate. But weekends became even more special, with everyone eager to reunite and share the week's news. How are your classes? Harrison would ask every Friday when Lily arrived. Fascinating. I'm learning so much about child development, family dynamics, trauma psychology. A lot of things make sense now about our own experience. How so? I understand better now why it was so important for you to take it slow at the beginning, why Mom was so careful to protect our routine, why you respected my need for time to trust. And does that help with your studies? It helps a lot. When we study cases of blended families, I can see both the mistakes and the successes because I've lived a positive experience firsthand. One weekend, Lily brought a college friend to meet the family. This is my friend Sarah, she introduced. Sarah, these are my parents, Harrison and Brianna, and my brother Caleb. Sarah, a pleasant young woman the same age, greeted everyone politely. During dinner, she asked questions about the family dynamic. Lily always speaks of you all so fondly, she commented. It's rare to see a family so close-knit. We were lucky to find each other, said Harrison. Not luck, corrected Lily. Work, dedication, and a lot of love. How did you handle the initial difficulties? Asked Sarah. I imagine it wasn't easy to blend two such different lives. It wasn't easy, admitted Brianna. But we were honest with each other from the start. Honest about our fears, our expectations, our boundaries. And you never tried to change each other, insisted Sarah. We tried to be the best versions of ourselves, said Harrison, but without ceasing to be who we essentially were. Later, after Sarah had left, Lily thanked her parents. Why? Asked Brianna. For always being so natural and genuine. Sarah was impressed by your authenticity. She said it's rare to find adults who don't pretend to be perfect. We're not perfect, said Harrison. Exactly. And that's what makes us real. That's what makes our family work. At 21, Lily graduated with distinction in psychology. Harrison and Brianna were in the audience, with Caleb between them, beaming when her name was called to receive her diploma. I'm so proud, whispered Brianna, tears in her eyes. She did it, said Harrison, moved. Our girl achieved her dream. At the graduation dinner, Lily gave a speech that moved the whole family. I want to thank the most important people in my life, she said. My mother, who taught me that strength and vulnerability can coexist. My father, Harrison, who taught me that family is about choice and dedication, and my brother Caleb, who taught me that love doesn't diminish when it's shared, it only multiplies. "And now?" asked Caleb after the ceremony. "Will Lily work with kids like us?" "I'll work with children of all kinds," said Lily. "Happy children, sad children, confused children. I'll try to help them all find their place in the world. Like you helped me? Like you helped me." Lily was accepted into a master's program in child psychology at a renowned university in another state. The decision to move was difficult for the whole family. "It's only 2 years," she said, trying to convince herself as much as the others, "and I'll come back for vacations and holidays." "You have to go," said Harrison, even with a broken heart. "It's an incredible opportunity for your career. I'm going to miss you all so much, and we'll miss you, but we'll always be here when you need us." The farewell at the airport was emotional. Caleb, now 11, cried without shame. "Take care of the family for me," said Lily, hugging her brother. "I will. But you promise you'll come back?" "I promise." During the 2 years of the master's program, the family kept in constant contact through video calls, messages, letters. Lily shared her academic discoveries, her experiences in the new city, her plans for the future. Harrison and Brianna, now with more time available, took the chance to travel together, rediscover their intimacy as a couple, plan their retirement. Caleb flourished as a temporary only child, gaining more individual attention from his parents, developing new interests and hobbies. "I miss Lily," he said during one of the weekly family video calls, "but I also like having you guys to myself sometimes." "That's normal," said Lily from the computer screen. "When I was little, sometimes I wished it was just me and Mom too." "Even after Dad arrived?" "Especially after he arrived. I was used to being an only child. Sharing attention was an adjustment. And now? Now I can't imagine our family without any of you. Each person brought something special." When Lily graduated from her master's program, she returned home with defined plans for the future. She wanted to open a clinic specializing in family therapy, focused on non-traditional families. "I'll need some time to save money and gain experience," she explained, "but this is what I want to do with my life." "I can help with the initial investment," offered Harrison. "Dad, you know I prefer to earn things through my own effort." "I know, but this would be a business loan with interest and everything. A business transaction between a father and his entrepreneurial daughter." Lily considered the proposal. "We can talk about it, but with formal contracts and clear terms. Obviously, we don't mix family and business without protecting both." 3 years later, Lily's clinic was established and thriving. She served adoptive families, blended families, same-sex parent families, single-parent families. She became a reference in her area of specialization. "I'm proud of what you've built," said Brianna during a visit to the clinic. "I built it based on what I learned from you," replied Lily. "That family is about love, choice, and mutual dedication. And your patients? How do they react when they learn your personal story?" "They become hopeful. They see that it's possible to have a non-traditional family and be happy, whole, secure." Caleb, now 15, sometimes helped at the clinic as a volunteer, organizing materials and interacting with the young patients. "I want to study education," he announced during a family dinner. "Why?" asked Harrison. "Because I want to work with kids too, but in a different way than Lily. I want to be a teacher, help children learn and grow." "In what area?" "History. I want to teach children that families have always been diverse throughout history, that our situation isn't strange. It's just another variation of human love." Lily smiled proudly at her brother. "You're going to be an amazing teacher. You taught me that our family is special but not strange. I want other kids to learn that too." That night, Harrison and Brianna talked about how their children had found vocations related to their family experiences. "They've turned our story into a positive force," observed Brianna. "They learned that differences can be strengths," agreed Harrison. "And us, how do we see ourselves now after 15 years together?" Harrison reflected for a moment. "I see myself as a complete man for the first time in my life. I have a family that loves me not for what I possess, but for who I am. I have children who respect me not out of fear, but out of admiration. I have a wife who is my partner in everything, not my dependent or subordinate. And I see myself as a fulfilled woman in all areas. Professionally, I managed to build the career I always dreamed of. Personally, I have a marriage based on equality and respect. As a mother, I raised two people of integrity and happiness. Is there anything you would change in our story? Brianna thought carefully. Perhaps I would have resisted less in the beginning. I would have trusted you more quickly. And I would have been less insistent about money at the start. I would have understood more quickly that what you needed was respect, not charity. But you know, everything happened at the right time. We both needed to go through the processes we went through to become the people we are today. I agree, and in the end, what matters is that we got here together. At 27, Lily met a fellow psychologist at a conference and fell in love. Julian was a kind and intelligent man, specializing in childhood trauma therapy. When Lily brought him to meet the family, Harrison felt that typical paternal protective twinge. "So," asked Caleb after Julian left, "do you approve of my future brother-in-law?" "He seems like a good young man," said Harrison cautiously. "Dad, you're being overprotective," laughed Lily. "Julian is a wonderful person. You'll love getting to know him better." "How did you two meet?" asked Brianna. "At the conference on childhood trauma. He presented a paper on resilience in children from blended families. When I introduced myself and told my personal story, he was fascinated." "Fascinated how?" "By the positive way our family handled all the challenges. He said most of the cases he sees don't have such happy endings." "And you work in the same field?" "Complementary fields. He treats children who have suffered trauma. I work with families that are forming or reforming. Sometimes we work together on cases." During the following months, Julian became a constant presence in the family. He was polite, respectful, clearly in love with Lily, and showed genuine affection for Caleb. "He's cool," admitted Caleb to his parents. "He doesn't try to force being my friend, but he doesn't ignore me either. It's natural." "And what do you think about the possibility of Lily marrying him?" asked Brianna. "I think she deserves to be happy, and he makes her happy. You can see it." Harrison gradually accepted Julian, especially after a frank conversation they had during a family barbecue. "Can I ask you a direct question?" said Harrison. "Of course." "What are your intentions with Lily?" Julian smiled. "Straight to the point. I like that. My intentions are to marry her, build a family with her, be a good husband and life partner." "And professionally? You working in the same field doesn't create competition?" "On the contrary, it creates synergy. We complement each other professionally and personally. You understand that Lily is very important to us? That she is a fundamental part of this family?" "I understand and respect that. I have no intention of taking her away from you. In fact, I hope to become part of this family too." "How do you see our family dynamic? Some people find our situation strange. I see it as an example of how love can overcome any challenge. You've created something beautiful and solid. It's inspiring both professionally and personally." Julian's sincere answer definitively won Harrison over. That Christmas, Julian proposed to Lily during the family dinner. It was a simple but emotional moment. "Lily," he said, kneeling by the Christmas tree, "will you marry me and build our own version of the love you learned in this family?" "Yes," she answered, crying with joy. Caleb applauded enthusiastically. Harrison and Brianna hugged, moved to see their daughter so happy. "Welcome to the family," said Harrison, hugging Julian. "Thank you for accepting me," he replied. Lily's wedding was a celebration of the family they had built together. Harrison walked her down the aisle, where Julian was waiting. Caleb was the ring-bearer. Brianna cried throughout the ceremony. "I'm not losing a daughter," said Harrison in the father's speech. "I'm gaining another son." "And I'm not leaving my family," said Lily in her speech. "I'm expanding it." The reception was joyful and intimate, with only close relatives and dear friends. During the father-daughter dance, Harrison whispered in Lily's ear, "I'm so proud of the woman you've become." "I only made it this far because I had you as my foundation," she replied. "Now you'll build your own family, inspired by the family you and Mom gave me." A year after the wedding, Lily announced she was pregnant. The news brought immense joy to the whole family. "I'm going to be a grandfather," said Harrison, emotional. "And I'm going to be an uncle," shouted Caleb. "How are you feeling?" asked Brianna. "Nervous, but happy. I hope to be as good a mother as you were to me." "You'll be a wonderful mother. You have everything you need: love, patience, wisdom, and a whole family to support you." During Lily's pregnancy, Harrison reflected a lot on the circle of life coming full circle. He had come into Brianna and Lily's life when Lily was a child. Now he was about to become a grandfather to the daughter he had raised as his own. "It's surreal," he commented to Brianna one night. "It feels like yesterday that Lily was that 6-year-old girl sharing a sandwich with you at the upscale bistro. And now she's going to be a mother. Do you think we'll be good grandparents? I'm sure we'll give our grandchild the same love we gave Lily and Caleb. Another member for our non-traditional family, which isn't so non-traditional anymore. Now we're just a big, happy family." When the granddaughter was born, a girl they named Faith, Harrison cried as he held her for the first time. "Hello, little princess," he whispered. "I'm your Grandpa Harrison. Welcome to our crazy, wonderful family." Lily, watching from the hospital bed, smiled through her tears. "She's lucky to have you as grandparents. We're the lucky ones to have another amazing girl in the family." Caleb, now 18, held his niece with reverent care. "Hi, Faith. I'm your Uncle Caleb. I'm going to teach you lots of cool things when you grow up." "What kind of things?" asked Lily, laughing. "How our family is special, how love is more important than anything else, how to be strong and kind at the same time. Those are important lessons. They're the lessons I learned from you." In the following months, Faith's arrival brought new energy to the whole family. Harrison and Brianna took turns helping Lily with the baby. Caleb spent hours playing with his niece. Julian proved to be a dedicated and caring father. "Is our family complete now?" asked Caleb during a Sunday lunch. "A family is never complete," replied Harrison. "It's always growing and changing." "How so?" "You'll get married someday. You'll bring someone else into our family. Faith will grow up, maybe have siblings. She'll certainly get married and have children. Family is a living thing. And that's good. It's great. It means we'll always have new things, new people to love, new stories to tell." "And you and Mom? Will you always be the center of the family?" Harrison and Brianna exchanged a loving look. "We hope to always be a solid foundation for all of you," said Brianna. "But the center of the family is the love between all of us, not specific people." 2 years later, Caleb was accepted into university with a full scholarship to study history and education. His plans to become a teacher were coming true. "I'm proud of you, son," said Harrison on enrollment day. "I learned from you all that education is the most powerful tool to change the world." "And you want to change the world?" "I want to help children understand that family comes in many different forms, but is always based on love. I want them to grow up without prejudices about family structures. That's a noble goal. It's a goal inspired by you all." During Caleb's graduation, 4 years later, the entire family was present. Harrison and Brianna, Lily and Julian with Faith, now 3 years old, and their second child, a boy named Jack. "I want to thank my family," said Caleb in his speech as class valedictorian, "who taught me that family is about choice, dedication, and unconditional love, who showed me that differences can be strengths, who prepared me to teach other children that there is no single model of family happiness." After the ceremony, Faith ran to hug her uncle. "Uncle Caleb, are you going to be a real teacher now?" "I am, Princess. Will you teach the kids about our family?" "I'll teach about all families, about how each one is special in its own way." "Our family is the most special, right?" Caleb looked around, seeing Harrison and Brianna with graying hair but youthful smiles, Lily radiant as a mother and fulfilled professional, Julian naturally integrated into the family dynamic, Jack sleeping in Brianna's arms. "Our family is very special, yes," he agreed, "but all families that love each other are special too." At 60, Harrison decided to retire partially, passing the main management of the firm to younger partners. He wanted more time for family, especially for the grandchildren. "Won't you miss the work?" asked Brianna. "I'll miss the adrenaline of business sometimes, but I want to enjoy this stage of life. I want to take Faith and Jack to the park, help with homework, tell bedtime stories. Like you did with Lily and Caleb. Exactly. The cycle repeating, but in an even better version. Brianna also reduced her hours at the clinic, keeping only the most important cases. At 55, she wanted a better balance between career and personal life. "We've achieved everything we dreamed of," she said to Harrison one afternoon, watching Faith and Jack play in the backyard. "Successful careers, fulfilled children, healthy grandchildren, a solid marriage. And now what's the next dream? To grow old together, to see our grandchildren grow up, maybe meet great-grandchildren someday, to be the solid foundation our family can always count on. That's a beautiful dream. It's a possible dream." 5 years later, Caleb married a fellow teacher named Sarah, a sweet and intelligent woman who fell in love with the family's story from the first meeting. "I want to be part of this amazing family," she said to Harrison and Brianna at the engagement dinner. "Caleb told me all about you, and it's admirable how you built something so solid and loving." "Welcome, daughter," said Brianna, hugging her. Caleb's wedding was different from Lily's, more formal and traditional, but equally full of love. Faith and Jack were attendants, scattering flower petals down the aisle for the couple. "Now I have 2 wonderful daughters-in-law," said Harrison in his speech, 2 women who understood and embraced our particular way of being a family. In their first year of marriage, Caleb and Sarah announced they were expecting twins. "Twins," shouted Lily when she got the news. "Faith and Jack are going to have 2 cousins the same age." "Our family is going to get even louder," laughed Caleb. "And more fun," added Harrison. When the twins were born, Ben and Sam, Harrison was moved to see he now had 4 grandchildren. The house became even fuller on Sunday family lunches. "Grandpa Harrison," said Faith, now 7 years old, "why is our family so big?" "Because we were very lucky, Princess. We found people who wanted to be part of our lives, and we wanted to be part of theirs." "And will it get even bigger?" "Probably yes. When you grow up, you might get married and have children. Jack too, Ben and Sam too. The family can still grow a lot." "And will you and Grandma Brianna always be here?" Harrison felt a tightness in his chest. At 65, he knew he wouldn't be here forever. "We'll be here as long as we can, Princess. And even when we're no longer here physically, we'll always be in your hearts." "What do you mean?" "All the things we taught you, all the love we gave, all the stories we told, that stays forever. And you'll pass that on to your children, and they to their children. So our family is immortal." Harrison smiled, impressed by the girl's understanding. "In a way, yes. Our family's love is immortal." That night, Harrison told Brianna about the conversation. "She's starting to understand complex concepts like mortality and legacy," Brianna observed. "And she's handling it well. Like all the children in our family, she has impressive emotional maturity. It's because she grew up with security and love. Secure children can process life's complexities better." "Brianna?" "Yes?" "Are you happy with the life we've built?" "More than happy. I'm fulfilled. We achieved something many people dream of but few attain, a truly united family based on love and mutual respect." "And you have no regrets?" "None. Every decision we made, every challenge we faced, brought us here. Just look at what we built. 2 children fulfilled professionally and personally, 4 healthy and happy grandchildren, 2 daughters-in-law we love like daughters, a marriage that only grew stronger over time. It's more than I dreamed of when I was young. It's more than I dreamed of when I was raising Lily alone." At 70, Harrison was diagnosed with a heart condition that, while treatable, made him reflect on mortality. It wasn't serious, but it was a reminder that time was finite. "How are you dealing with this?" asked Lily, concerned. "With gratitude," Harrison replied. "Gratitude for having had so many good years, for seeing you all grow and find fulfillment, for getting to know my grandchildren. Dad, you'll be fine. It's just a matter of taking better care of your health." "I know, honey, and I will take care. But this situation made me think about the legacy I want to leave." "What legacy?" "I want you all to know that the decision to accept you and your mother into my life was the best I ever made. I want Caleb to know I love him as if he were my biological son. I want my grandchildren to know that being part of this family was the greatest honor of my life. Dad, we all know that. I know. But I wanted it stated, in case you ever doubt it. Lily hugged her father tightly. We'll never doubt. You showed us what it means to love unconditionally. Harrison's heart condition served as a wake-up call for the whole family to value their time together even more. Sunday lunches became sacred, family vacations became a priority, conversations became deeper and more meaningful. "Grandpa," said Jack, now 8 years old, during one of these lunches, "can you tell me the story of how you met Grandma and Aunt Lily?" It was a story Harrison had told many times, but he never tired of repeating it. "Once upon a time there was a lonely man who worked too much and didn't know what he was missing in life," he began, gathering all the grandchildren around. "One day he went to have lunch at an upscale bistro and saw the most beautiful thing in the world, a mother sharing her only sandwich with her little daughter, breaking each piece with so much love. The grandchildren listened to the family story with renewed attention, asking questions, requesting details, laughing at the funny moments, getting emotional at the touching moments. And that's how our family began," Harrison finished. "But Grandpa," said Ben, one of the twins, "how did you know it was going to work out?" "I didn't, champ. Family is an act of faith. You choose to trust, choose to love, choose to dedicate yourself, and hope it works out." "And does it always work out?" "Not always, but when it does, it's the most wonderful thing in the world." Did our family work out? Harrison looked around the table, seeing 3 generations gathered. Brianna, still beautiful at 65, Lily and Julian, dedicated parents and respected professionals, Caleb and Sarah, educators passionate about their mission, and the 4 grandchildren, each with their unique personality, but all united by family love. "Our family worked out very well," he said, his voice choked with emotion. "End of story. And now, dear listeners, we have reached the end of this story of love, overcoming, and family. What lesson can we take from this journey? That true love knows no social, economic, or biological barriers. Harrison learned that true wealth lies in the relationships we build with care and dedication. Brianna discovered that accepting love is not a sign of weakness, but of strength and wisdom. And Lily grew up knowing that family is about choice, not just about blood. Now we want to know your opinion. Do you believe Harrison made the right decisions by insisting on being part of Brianna and Lily's life? How would you act in a similar situation? Share your reflections in the comments. We love reading your personal experiences and sincere opinions about our stories. Don't forget to leave your like if this story touched your heart, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other emotional narratives like this one. Thank you for your company, and see you at the next story.